Today is a joyous day. Jaime has just graduated from college, a moment that marks the beginning of a new chapter in his life. He's returning home to reunite with his family. As Jaime approaches his family, he sees them waiting eagerly. His parents, brimming with excitement, can't contain their joy at seeing their son again. Among them is Uncle Rudy, who immediately gathers them all into the car, insisting they celebrate Jaime's graduation with a family dinner at their favorite restaurant. At the restaurant, Jaime's mother and father exchange uneasy glances. There's something they need to tell him, a truth they've been hiding, but his mother can't bring herself to break his heart on what should be a joyous occasion. She fears the weight of bad news will shatter the happiness Jaime has worked so hard to achieve, but not Millie. Jaime's younger sister blurts out the truth. "We're broke," she says bluntly. "The shop's going under. The landowner raised the rent, and we can't afford to keep it open anymore. And Dad, he's sick. His heart condition is getting worse." The room falls silent. Jaime, blindsided, is crushed by the weight of this sudden misfortune. Later that night, Jaime and Millie find solace on the roof of their apartment building. Together, they gaze at the towering skyscrapers that loom over the city, wondering if they will ever have a place in that world. Jaime's resolve hardens as he turns to his sister. "Don't worry," he says. "I'll find a job. I'll help us get through this. Everything's going to be okay." Eventually, Jaime lands a job at the grand estate of Mrs. Victoria, the owner of Cord Industries, one of the most powerful corporations in the city. Millie also joins him there as a maid. As Jaime navigates his new world of wealth and power, he overhears a conversation between Mrs. Victoria and an important client. They are discussing her latest project, OMAC, an advanced AI system capable of turning humans into war machines. On the other side of the room stands Jennifer, a fierce opponent of the project. She argues that the technology is dangerous and unstable. Jennifer's disagreement with Mrs. Victoria runs deep. The two women have long been at odds. Cord Industries was originally Jennifer's father's company, but after his mysterious disappearance, Victoria took over, leaving Jennifer with limited control, though she still holds a rightful claim as the heir. The tension between Jennifer and Victoria finally reaches its breaking point. Their argument escalates until Jaime steps in to break them apart, trying to calm the situation. Victoria, already furious, is even more enraged by Jaime's interference. In a fit of anger, Victoria fires both Jaime and Millie on the spot. As they stand outside the mansion, Jaime runs into Jennifer, who is heading back to the company. She apologizes for the incident that got him fired and explains that it wasn't his fault. To Jaime's surprise, Jennifer offers him a new opportunity. She invites him to come to the company the next day, promising to find him another job. That evening, Jaime scrolls through Jennifer's Instagram, finding her to be a lively, carefree person, a stark contrast to the tense atmosphere he had witnessed earlier. The next day, Jaime arrives at the Cord Industries headquarters, dressed sharply in a suit. He approaches the receptionist and asks to meet with Jennifer. Meanwhile, on the other side of the building, Jennifer is already executing a dangerous plan. Disagreeing with the OMAC project, she's decided to steal a critical component needed to complete it, a key piece of technology that she believes will halt the project's progress. With her heart racing, steals the object, fleeing from the building. As she's making her escape, she bumps into Jaime. He reminds her of his earlier promise to do anything. Trusting him in the heat of the moment, Jennifer hands the stolen item to Jaime, instructing him to take it home without looking inside or touching anything. At home, Jaime and his family are bursting with curiosity. Millie and the others can't resist trying to persuade Jaime to open the mysterious package. Finally, Jaime gives in. Inside the box is what looks like a giant, blue beetle-shaped token. Before they can fully grasp what it is, the beetle-like object suddenly activates and latches onto Jaime's face. Without warning, Jaime is hurled through the ceiling, smashing straight through the roof of his home. Everyone is in a state of shock, including Jaime, who struggles to make sense of what just happened. As he floats midair, disoriented, a strange voice begins speaking inside his head. His vision is flooded with an array of complex systems and commands, all projected before his eyes. Instinctively, Jaime raises his arms and a shimmering shield materializes around him, as if the system is protecting him from danger. In a daze, Jaime eventually makes his way back down to the ground, the mysterious blue beetle now firmly attached to his body. He has no idea what's happening to him, nor can he explain it to his terrified family. Desperate for answers, Jaime insists on finding Jennifer. He believes she knows the truth behind the strange device that's now fused with him. When Jennifer arrives at Jaime's house, she reveals the artifact's name, the Scarab. She explains that her father entrusted the Scarab to her when she was a child. It's a magical object that can bestow its bearer with combat-ready powers. But there's a catch. It must choose the person it bonds with. For years, the Scarab remained dormant, until it finally chose Jaime. Jaime, still in disbelief, asks how he can get the Scarab off. Jennifer, uncertain, admits that she doesn't know how to remove it. But she does know a place that might hold the answer. Before they head out, however, they need to retrieve a key that was left behind at Cord Industries. Determined to uncover the truth, Jaime and Jennifer sneak back into the company to retrieve an important item, an old watch that belonged to Jennifer's father. Unfortunately, their presence hasn't gone unnoticed. Carparax, Victoria's henchman, has been watching their every move. Armed with a prototype version of the OMAC technology, he intercepts them. Though the prototype is still in its experimental phase, Carparax has learned to control it with terrifying precision. A fierce battle erupts. Jaime, unfamiliar with the Scarab's full potential, struggles to fend off Carparax's relentless attacks. He's quickly overwhelmed, taking hit after hit, unable to match the power of his opponent. Just when it seems like all hope is lost, Uncle Rudy shows up, throwing himself into the fray to help Jaime escape. Together, they barely manage to flee, retreating to an old abandoned house deep in the woods. It turns out the old abandoned house is actually Jennifer's childhood home. It's also where her father conducted his groundbreaking research and first discovered the existence of the Scarab. The place, though old, still holds a high-tech feel, with remnants of her father's lab scattered throughout. Uncle Rudy immediately starts investigating, trying to uncover what Jennifer's father was working on, and if there's any way to remove the Scarab from Jaime. Meanwhile, Jennifer walks through the rooms, nostalgia washing over her. She's visibly emotional, her thoughts drifting back to her childhood and the parents she's lost. She confides in Jaime, telling him how her mother died when she was just 6 years old. After that, her father became consumed by his obsession with the Scarab, often disappearing for days or even weeks at a time, leaving her feeling abandoned. Jaime, sensing her sadness, tries to comfort her. Their shared vulnerability creates a deep connection, and for a moment, Jennifer leans in, her face inches from Jaime's.
Hey guys, I found something that... Oh.
Nothing happened.
Her mom died.
But just then, Uncle Rudy interrupts. He's found something, but it's not good news. Uncle Rudy explains that years ago, the Scarab chose another host, a man named Garrett, and there's only one known way to separate the Scarab from its host, if the host dies. Jaime, frustrated and angry, realizes there's no easy way out of his situation. His emotions get the better of him, and he lashes out, storming off. Later, Jaime finds himself on the roof trying to calm down. He apologizes to Uncle Rudy for yelling earlier, the weight of everything pressing down on him. But just as they share a moment of understanding, Jaime spots something in the distance. Victoria's aircraft, heading straight for the house. His heart sinks. He knows that his family's in danger, and he has to act fast. Without hesitation, Jaime takes a leap of faith. Literally, he jumps off the roof, trusting that the Scarab will come to life and shield him from the fall.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Jaime arrives just in time. In the midst of the battle, Jaime's family seizes the moment to escape. But tragedy strikes when Millie gets captured. Jaime's father, desperate to save his daughter, rushes in to help her, but fate turns cruel as he loses his footing and falls. The fall triggers a heart attack, and in his final moments, Jaime's father looks into Millie's eyes, whispering words of comfort. Everything will be all right. Meanwhile, in the chaos, Jaime is caught off guard. A shot from Victoria's aircraft pierces through the smoke, knocking him down and incapacitating him. He struggles but ultimately succumbs to her forces, captured at last. The next day, the Reyes family is engulfed in grief over the loss of their father. They feel the weight of sorrow but know that this is not the time for tears. A fire for vengeance burns within them. They are determined to rescue Jaime and exact their revenge. In a moment of clarity, Jennifer steps forward, leading them back to her father's old headquarters. There they discover one of his fighter jets still operational, a relic from a time when he fought for what was right. Inside the hangar, they find an array of unique weapons and gadgets. Millie excitedly rummages through the gear, selecting tools that spark her interest. Jennifer grabs a combat weapon and also a piece of candy that seems to radiate an unusual energy. Its power is unknown but promising. With their spirits reignited, they gear up, preparing to launch a rescue mission for Jaime. They are ready, united in purpose, to take back what's theirs.
Brace for impact!
Rudy skillfully pilots the aircraft toward Victoria's secret fortress, though the landing is anything but smooth. As they touch down, armed soldiers quickly surround them, weapons drawn and ready. Fortunately, the fighter jet proves to be remarkably sturdy, its defenses holding firm against the onslaught of bullets raining down from all directions. With a steady hand, Rudy retaliates, unleashing a barrage of advanced weaponry that decimates their enemies. One by one, the soldiers fall, and the team finds their footing as they arrive at their destination. They disperse according to their initial plan. Meanwhile, Jaime is in a critical state. Victoria, relentless in her quest for power, plans to forcibly extract the Scarab's energy to transfer it to Carparax and the multitude of OMAC systems buried underground. One of the employees, Sanchez, watches in horror but feels powerless to resist. In Jaime's moment of despair, he encounters his father in a dream. Confused, he asks if he has died, but his father reassures him, saying, "It's not your time yet, Jaime. You still have an important task to complete. You must be of service to others before this is over." On the other side, Jennifer sets her sights on the countless OMAC systems being constructed below ground. She plants explosives with precision, determined to destroy the operations. The explosion frees Jaime from his restraints. But in the chaos, Jennifer is separated from Millie. Sanchez, unable to bear Victoria's tyranny any longer, decides to help Jaime, but his bravery costs him his life at the hands of Carparax. Now infused with the Scarab's power, Carparax becomes an even greater threat. Jaime, feeling the weight of the situation, dashes away, knowing that the Scarab is still recharging. Just when he feels cornered, his grandmother arrives in the nick of time, wielding a machine gun and taking out enemies left and right. Jennifer, however, finds herself alone and is captured by Victoria, who has now secured what she needs, a critical piece of technology in the palm of her hand. With the Scarab fully charged, Jaime begins to unleash his power against the mercenaries, taking them down effortlessly. But the battle intensifies when Carparax returns, now even stronger. Jaime finds himself struggling to counter Carparax's attacks. In a moment of inspiration, Jaime remembers he can create any weapon he can imagine. He taps into his creativity, conjuring unique weapons to level the playing field. This newfound ability grants Jaime the momentum he needs to strike back against Carparax. But the advantage is fleeting, as Carparax's weight and strength overwhelm Jaime once more. Now trapped and powerless, Jaime feels the walls closing in. Just then, Uncle Rudy hurls large stones at Carparax, freeing Jaime from his grip. However, the act costs Rudy dearly as he is shot by Carparax in the process. Rage floods Jaime as he witnesses his uncle's sacrifice. A dark ambition fills him as he prepares to exact vengeance. Meanwhile, Jennifer, still captured, chews her gum while conversing with Victoria. Victoria revels in her impending victory, confident that soon she will be the rightful owner of Cord Industries. But Jennifer vows to prevent that from happening. Seizing an opportunity, she launches her gum at Victoria, causing it to expand and envelop the helicopter's interior. In the ensuing chaos, Jennifer attacks Victoria, who accidentally triggers her weapon, killing the pilot. As Jaime battles Carparax, his rage fuels his attacks. He relentlessly pummels Carparax until he can no longer fight back. And in his fury, Jaime contemplates ending Carparax's life. But in the final moments, a vision from Kaji reveals Carparax's painful past. A life filled with suffering, witnessing his mother's murder and enduring horrific injuries from a bomb blast. The reality hits Jaime hard and he begins to feel pity for his foe. In a moment of clarity, Jaime lowers his weapon. He chooses compassion over vengeance. Exhausted from their endless conflict, Carparax, in his final moments, decides to sacrifice himself along with Victoria. At long last, the weight of that harrowing night lifts. Jaime and his allies breathe a sigh of relief, especially upon learning that Uncle Rudy survived the explosion. Gratitude fills their hearts as they count their blessings for escaping the turmoil. With the chaos behind them, life gradually returns to normal. Jennifer takes the reins of Cord Industries, ready to lead with integrity. Days later, Jennifer approaches the Reyes family, promising to build a new home for Jaime and his loved ones, as well as replace Rudy's car, destroyed in the crossfire. From that day forward, Jaime and Jennifer's relationship blossoms, forging a bond strengthened by shared trials and triumphs. And so, their story comes to a close.